You know, in Luke chapter 7, we see where a lot of labels are being thrown around. And the one we particularly focused in on was the woman who was called a sinner. And she was just put in that category and literally was under all the framework of what that word meant. And of course, you can read the Bible and see that she was apparently a very bad woman in their estimation. So what Jesus began to show, there was more to the woman than what they thought. There was more to her. It was too shallow of a stroke to call her by the names that they were calling by and put those kind of labels on her. And so, but watch what can happen. Those labels that stick will restrict. And so people who don't have Jesus in their life or haven't really trusted the Lord to loose themselves from those labels get stuck with those things, and they start believing and they start just seeing themselves in a limited way. And in what ways maybe has labels kind of come from maybe 2 or 3 different sources, and all of a sudden they become believable to you, and all of a sudden you begin to think, that's what I am, this is all life's going to deal me. And in what ways has a label possibly stuck in your life and then restricted you, and maybe you have self-doubt, or maybe feel like you just can't do what you really were supposed to do? And just discuss that for a moment. In what ways did a label that stuck restrict you? You know how easy it is to start labeling people, because it makes it easier. So then we begin to put them under a certain heading, and then all the particular attributes of what we know about that label, we just kind of assign to them. And obviously that can't be true, because people are far more complex than our simple labels. But it helps us in our way of thinking, and we put them in a particular box. And labeling is good for things, but label is horrible when it comes to people, because what you've done is you treat them differently than what you really should, because you already got an estimation of who they are and what they are, and you already know them, so to speak, because of that label. So in what ways can we avoid that from happening? Because it's so easy to do, and we all tend to do it, and we call it for the sake of efficiency, but in our efficiency we become ineffective. And so in what ways can we challenge ourselves in our thinking and avoid putting labels on people, especially quickly? But in what ways can we avoid putting labels on people? You know, it's strange how there's so much power in our words. We can say something to someone, and for years and years they can remember it. And sometimes they keep bringing it up in their mind over and over again. It becomes such a part of them, it gets to be called what is called muscle memory. And so then they begin to think the reality of it. And as they begin to think about it, they can even add dimensions to it that you didn't even really say, and it becomes so real to them. And so this is what happens when we label people. We just maybe inadvertently, out of frustration, whenever we put a label on somebody. And watch what happens. Because of its power, it can actually become what is referred to as a self-fulfilling prophecy. And the Word of God really lines up with that. So since a label can actually fulfill itself when it wasn't even really true to begin with, they found in experiments that it wouldn't even be true, but because they believed it to be true, it became so. And so in what ways could we maybe set a new label on people and label them in a category that's where you want them to go, and that become a self-fulfilling prophecy? And what ways do you think that you could possibly begin to assign a new destiny or a new level of fulfillment in someone's life by seeing them through a different lens and then hold them to that level?